Sagittarius, welcome to your mid-March 2023 General Tarot Update. It's Raina here. Come on, my fellow Sages, what do we have in store? Sounds about right. I'm just thinking about myself being a Sag. Alrighty. That's what I'm talking about. Okay. The heart of the matter is the Queen of Swords. When I see this card, I think of a person who has been through a lot and is really, trying to keep it all together, trying to keep up that stiff upper lip. And that's what the swords represents, that detachment. The emotions are there. And it's really not about, like the King of Swords is like totally shutting off anything that, and sometimes you have to do that because, like if you are in a certain situation that is very intense, sometimes you have to just completely divorce yourself from emotions because they do tend to tug at you, don't they? But in this case, to me, it's almost like honing the intuition so that you're taking the higher octave of emotions, which you could say is the intuition, and combining it with your intellect to make a decision that you know is best for you. And it could even be a decision within yourself. It's not like necessarily, oh, should I take this job or that job or be with this person or that person? It might be within yourself that you have to kind of, take charge of your own thoughts, your own feelings. Like maybe your feelings have taken too much precedence over your life. Right now we're in Pisces season and that squares off Sag. And that, and I was listening to another astrologer talking about that, and I thought to myself, no, I love the month of March. I think it's a great month. But I realized that it's usually the end of March when the sun goes into Aries that I've had these breakthroughs. But there can still be challenges. But I mean, when the sun is in Pisces, it can feel, for Sag, this is the fourth house of home and family and childhood. So these, it can get very intense sometimes when you're dealing with some of these types of issues. And sometimes you have to make an agreement with yourself that you're not going to allow yourself to go too far off the deep end with your emotions. In the past position, we have the Knight of Wands. Now, this could be somebody in your life who maybe this card is associated with Sag. But that I associate with Aries, but I would say anyone, and yeah, it could be a man. I mean, this is a card of a male. This is masculine energy, and this is very untamable, very wild energy. So whether it's coming from yourself or there's a person in your life that maybe won't commit to you, and you feel like, you have been wanting this and waiting for it, and it hasn't happened, you have to make that decision. It's not like sometimes people like hold the other person responsible, and they're really not. I mean, they're going to do what they want to do. And you have freedom. You have free will, a free will choice to decide whether or not to, quote unquote, put up with it. But really, the reason I'm saying quote unquote is because you are a Sag, so you love freedom. So if this person is a Sag or somebody else that just really is ambivalent about being in a relationship because they have this idea that it's going to mean that they're going to lose their freedom and they're going to stop having fun in life, that's one of those things that happens because people are they have like a preconceived notion of something. But in some cases, it could be that you're unconsciously picking people that are not going to commit because you're afraid of commitment. So it can get very deep, and you may have to make a decision. The higher message is the Eight of Pentacles. When I see this, like if I'm talking about love, then I think of someone who's trying too hard, who's trying to, make it work, but only from their end. It takes two, obviously. And if this is like a workplace situation, this may be about your attitude towards work, even. Like if you're deciding whether or not to leave your job because you want freedom, it doesn't mean that you just like do a crappy job until you leave. This is about doing your best. This is also a card of gaining skills. And it's coming, because this is in the spiritual position, it's more of like I don't want to say ethical. I can't think of the right word, but it's like being what is that word? Integrity. That was the word. I actually paused it and I just kept thinking of all these words. Yeah, and having integrity, meaning that, even if you've been treated unfairly, because that could be what is going on. And, we have here a card of the Five of Cups, which can be mourning the loss of something, but they always point out those cups that the person has their back turned towards, meaning that they are ignoring maybe some silver lining, something that is good in their life, and they're focusing on the lack. But, in a situation like not getting a promotion that you feel that you deserved, that somebody else got, or that you were promised, or getting not getting a raise, something not happening the way that you thought was going to happen, or you thought you were going to get engaged, or you thought you were going to move in with your partner, and they bailed. And you could even feel a little bit duped in some cases. So the grieving process, all of that can be complicated because it might not be just one emotion. You could actually be pissed off. You could be, the Five of Cups always sounds like, the person's dejected, but, I feel like there's more to that story. But there's something that is blocking you from making a decision because maybe the feeling that occurred kind of triggered insecurity within you, for instance. So an example would be, let's say that you were promised a promotion and somebody else got it who just came on the scene, who just came into the office. And you're like, excuse you? This person just walked in, 6 months or a year after I'm here, and they get it and I was promised it. It's much deeper than that, because then you have the office politics that are going on. And so you're grieving the loss of not only the job position, but your relationship with your employer. Maybe the Queen of Swords is your employer and she's very critical. And maybe you feel like she's never liked you. There's so many possibilities with this. And so it's always about the story that you tell about what's going on. Because even, let's say it's 100% true and this person is being critical of you and she really doesn't have that kind of respect for what you're doing. If that's true, that doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you. This can be simply that this person is biased, or maybe she has a certain specification that she's looking for, and when this other person came along, she felt like they embodied it more than you did. So it might not even be that she's at fault. Maybe if you were promised something and you were not given it, then that is problematic because somebody broke their promise. But you might be upset about something that is because you're telling a certain story about it. What is coming in is the Four of Wands. This is the happy home. This is a, I also, this is like a card of having joy in like domestic bliss. And really, like, let's say that you're not with a person, or you're not like living with a person that you wanted to, or married to a person you wanted to. Think of it this way. You don't want somebody to be unhappy and living with you because they feel guilty. That doesn't make sense. And this is actually, if you think about it, even when it comes to career or work situations, if you aren't happy, you're going to bring that home to your family. You're going to bring it home to yourself when you go home. So it's going to be something that isn't necessarily a good thing. So when you make a decision, just think about the gain, and it could be something that is on the emotional level. And then the outcome is the Star card, faith in unseen forces. And this is associated with Aquarius. So the idea of this card, I remember drawing this card once when I had been through quite a challenge. And it was at a time when I didn't have all of the, definitions, or whatever you want to call it, for each card already memorized. And so I looked in my little book, and it said something like recovering after, a chat, like a lot of challenges or what have you. And I don't know if I literally cried, but I felt this sense of like really resonating with this. Like I felt that I had been through a lot, and that I was on the upswing, and that I had regained faith in life and what happens. Because sometimes even Sages are very optimistic, but even sometimes we can be a little bit disappointed by what is happening, as evidenced by the Five of Cups. We can feel that sense of the grief of losing something that we wanted so much. And when we get that glimmer of hope, it's always like such a joyful thing. And I've had that happen at different times in my life, and I knew that it was going to get better. I remember one time I'd been through something, and it had been lasting months, and it was like, oh my God, I was like, how can I take this? And then I had this conversation with this older gentleman in the library, and for some reason, and he was a stranger, and for some reason, I said to myself, that was a symbol that things are going to start to get better, and they did. And it was probably like my higher self or my spirit guide, but I didn't feel that sense of connection with it in particular. It was just a thought that came into my mind. So I have had those experiences where I knew that things were going to get better, and there was some kind of a sign. So you will have one too. If you've been feeling any kind of grief about something, don't worry. Don't feel like you have to white knuckle it. This too shall pass, and you're going to feel that life is always supporting you. The universe has your back. Sometimes this, maybe there is someone who has passed on that you still haven't gotten over their loss, and you're trying your best. Maybe that's what the Queen of Swords is. You're trying your best to be strong without like totally callous about it. But maybe you'll get a sign that that person is fine and that they are with you at all times. Okay, that's what I have for you, Sag. I hope that this resonated. If you would like a private reading, the link is below. Take care. Bye.